Hi there, welcome to the video and hello again if you're a return viewer. Today, another book haul for the month of September. Now you find me here on the evening of the 1st of October 2025, trying desperately to catch up with the book haul to make it at least somewhat regular this time. It's going to be a little bit low energy. I'm not feeling the best the last few days. Ongoing health things as they are. So anyway, so I'm just going to... there's going to be a little less than there were last time by a significant amount. So today we're looking at, let me see, 6 books. So let's get on with the show. So first of all, in my ongoing quest to own every cyberpunk book ever published, it seems I have acquired this. This is Voice of the Whirlwind, the sequel to Hardwired by Walter John Williams. A little bit of a story of me getting hold of this. Found a copy on the local purveyor of books, the hard to find bookshop online site. Ordered it, and unfortunately they sent it to an old address of mine, so I only found out by reading the courier's updates. So that was a bit of a disaster. It was the fault for using old information. I had actually corrected my address. But anyway, I brought this to their attention, and they provided an excellent service by finding another copy they held in a different location and sending it to the correct address. So good service there from Hard to Find Books, and I'll put their link in the description. So this is Voice of the Whirlwind, like I said, by Walter John Williams. It's a sequel to Hardwired, I think a century later, with all your usual cyberpunk goodness. I assume I have not actually read this one before. I remember seeing it in the shops for years. I didn't know it was connected to Hardwired. Apparently one of 3 books in the sequence which are loosely collected, the 3rd book being Solipsistem, which as far as I can see, unless I can find an old copy in some other bookshop website, is only available otherwise as an ebook. So anyway, so that's Voice of the Whirlwind. Next up, not a very obscure one at all, this is Clown Town by Mick Herron. Now I got this one via the very non-obscure amazon.com.au, and this is the latest installment of the Slayer House, aka Slow Horses series by Mick Herron. I'm sure if you know the TV show, you know what it's all about. The rejects and dejects of MI5, the Secret Service in the UK, where they end up and how they end up getting involved in all sorts of existential crises and so on. I finished this one last week. I found it a little lower key than the previous ones. There's a little less at stake, initially at least, but things ramp up towards the end. There's kind of almost like a false ending where you think everything's over and resolved, but suddenly you realise there's 100 pages left in the book. So something happens near the end which is a little shocking perhaps for the reader who's been following this series. Of course, everyone loves Jackson Lamb, the character played on the TV show by Gary Oldman. And that's the thing about this book now. This is probably the first one I've read of the main series since I've started watching the TV show on Apple TV. And I cannot separate these characters from their television versions now. I used to have different ideas of what these characters look like, but now all I see is the TV characters. Is that good or bad? Who knows? So I'll give it a 9 out of 10 anyway. It's an excellent series. The wit and wisdom of Mick Herron is fully intact. It's got some laughed out loud passages, and Roddy Ho's internal monologue is always worth it. Just for that alone to read these books. So that is Clown Town by Mick Herron. Next up, something a little bit controversial perhaps. This is, oops, I just bumped the tripod. This is the Good Omens graphic novel. Now I ordered this in a Kickstarter. I was a Kickstarter supporter for this in I think 2023 it first went up for pledges. Of course, he who is not to be named is one of the co-authors of this. That is Neil Gaiman. I was never a huge fan of his, but I had dabbled with his work, and now, of course, they at least said the best probably about him. I know there's a lot of his books turning up in used bookshops at the moment. So anyway, this was an elaborate graphic novel version of Good Omens, which I enjoyed the original novel. The TV show a little bit less so. I haven't even bothered watching the second series, and I hear there's a third, maybe a TV movie coming. I'm not sure how much interest that will remain in that since the game-in situation. Of course, everyone points out Terry Pratchett, the co-author, was actually a genuine good guy, so that's what we can grasp onto anyway. So this is drawn by Colleen Doran, who is well known, at least online, for her artworks. It's very elaborate. There we go. It's fully painted, sometimes a little excessively painted. It looks like it could have done with a little bit more subtle. It's very bright and shiny. I'm not sure if that fits the story or not. So anyway, that is the Good Omens graphic novel. It was available by Kickstarter. I'm sure the Pratchett estate's web presence probably be able to hook you up with a copy if you didn't get into the Kickstarter. Okay. Next up, I went on a bit of a bookshop crawl last Saturday. I intended to go to 3, but ended up just going to 2. I wanted to see the new locations for a couple of bookshops. Now, Steadfast Books opened with a hiss and a roar alongside the book barn on the corner of Ferry and Enstores Road a few years ago. Got a bit of media publicity. It was a great place. Always felt the prices were maybe a little bit too high, but eventually the owner there couldn't meet the excessive rent and he had to shut down, and then he was looking for a new place, and about 6 months ago he opened again in Addington in Wises Road, in a kind of ex-industrial kind of semi-urban type area, and it's taken me 6 months to get out there to have a look at it, and it's a great setup he's got there. Everything's really well laid out and well thought out. Again, the prices, I think if you go to a used bookshop expecting a massive bargain, you probably won't find it there. It's not a massive criticism. I mean, it's curated. He's put a lot of time into it. You know, you like to think you kind of you're paying for that. So anyway, so there was quite a lot of books there that I was interested in, but at the time I didn't have the money, and I only ended up picking up 2. The first one was this one, Storm in a Teacup by Helen Siersky. It's a bit of popular science. The odd thing is just the day before I was reading a review of another book, which title I have forgotten, another popular science book that looked at the role of physics in everyday life, and the reviewer pointed out this book that came out several years ago, Storm in a Teacup by Helen Siersky, did the same thing a lot better. So I was surprised when I was looking in Steadfast Book and I found this sticking out of the shelf at me. You know, it's just one of those serendipitous moments, or what should we call it, synchronicity. So I grabbed that, and this is a next Christchurch City Libraries book. It's in good condition. It's got library binding and yeah, a little bit yellowed, but that's the way it goes. So this basically is like a day in the life and everything in the day that we encounter, which involves a little bit of physics, and Siersky explains the concepts to the layman or doofuses like me. So that is Storm in a Teacup by Helen Siersky. And also there, a very fat, chunky novel by Charlie Kaufman called Antkind. This has been on a wish list of mine and some various websites for a couple of years now, I think. And the attraction is Charlie Kaufman, who is a director and writer of amazing movies, very meta movies. It's his kind of signature thing. He's meta, donut, twisted, crazy stuff. The most well-known one is one of my favourite movies of the last 20 years or so, 25 years maybe, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He wrote that. I think it was directed by Michel Gondry, but he wrote the complex plot, and he also did another one, Adaptation, which was a very meta movie about an adaptation of a non-fiction book about orchid thieves, I believe. And he's let me just, what else has he got here? Being John Malkovich, of course. Sorry, how we could forget that. The one where they find a secret passage that they go through and end up becoming puppeteers of John Malkovich, the actor. All that type of weird stuff. So this book is more of the weird and crazy stuff. I don't know what the plot is really. It just, Kaufman attracted me. So that is Antkind by Charlie Kaufman. Oh, I think it involves movies. So there we go. So I think that is everything from the month of September. Like I said, it's a bit lower book count than the previous month, by sure. Just to cheat a little bit, this one arrived today. It's Chen Qifan's Waste Tide. Now, I keep seeing this referred to as like a modern cyberpunk equivalent, or neo-cyberpunk, or post-cyberpunk, whatever you want to call it. But it's also written by an author in mainland China. It's about a young girl who lives in kind of the vast fields of e-waste which exist as a result of our technological society, and robots and all sorts of crazy stuff. So that is Waste Tide by Chen Qifan. Looks interesting. I'm not sure why this cover has such a odd, this edition has such an odd cover. Given other versions of it I've seen have got big honking robots on it or something, but this one's a little more restrained. Maybe they're going for a different audience. It's got a quote by David Mitchell on the front as well, so that's always a recommendation. So that is Waste Tide. I think that pretty much wraps it up. So it's been a short one this time. I am still reading Fourth Wall Phantoms, hoping to get that one finished soon, and I just dipped into Higher Strangeness and find that a little disappointing. Kind of horror old stories about the Loch Ness Monster, not really what I bought that book for. Hoping to start another book very soon as well. So I guess we'll end it there, and thank you very much for watching the video. We'll catch you next time. Bye.